Funding for this edition of Caucus, New Jersey has been provided by Wells Fargo, the Ullendorf Center, the law firm of Gibbons PC, Johnson & Johnson, Fedway Associates, Inc., and by New Jersey Natural Gas, proud to support education in our communities. Promotional support provided by NJ Biz, All Business, All New Jersey, The Star Ledger, and NJ.com, Everything Jersey. And by New Jersey Monthly, the magazine of the Garden State, available at newsstands.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. It is my pleasure to introduce Carol Smith. She is Assistant Provost online at Berkeley College. Good to see you.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
You know, this whole online distance learning initiative, there's so many misconceptions about it. What is it specifically? And then we'll talk about who is right for it and who doesn't work as an online student. First of all, what is it?
Distance learning is anything that you want it to be in relation to taking online classes via computer, cell phone, other device that would allow you to access discussion and participate in a virtual world. So it's everything that you can do behind the scenes of a computer or a device that allows you that capability.
Okay, let's try this. Some people watching right now say, oh, online learning, you mean I don't have to go to the class, I don't have to be involved in classroom activities, so it's easier, you say.
And that's what it's not. Distance learning means that you're taking your academic program, taking classes, participating, engaging with peers, faculty, content, with the benefit of being flexible and convenient to your schedule.
Take that step back, Carol. How? Because people are also asking, how are you interacting? How are you communicating? How are you engaging if you are not physically experiencing the classroom experience?
Well, one of two ways. Through discussion, they have discussion boards, which they call discussion threads, where you
What do they call it?
Discussion threads. They're physically called discussion boards through a learning management system like Blackboard.
Right.
And students would, at their own time and their own leisure, log in, look and see what the professor has indicated that they need to do for the week.
Give us, for instance, professor puts up a question.
I'll give you a better.
Sure.
I'll give you
I'm an example person.
I'll give you an example of a week. Week one of any quarter. So you log in, you have a syllabus, just like on site. You have expectations for the class, just like on site. The only difference is, on site, I have a class on Tuesday and Thursday at 9:30. Online, you look and see how you can fit the requirements for the week within a Sunday through Saturday type of week. So it's 1 week. And then what you would say to yourself is, oh, I have discussion that I have to participate in, which involves answering a question. So in week one, it's introduce yourself, participate by responding to 2 or 3 of your classmates, and read the syllabus and address that you've read it and understand it, and ask any questions if you have it. So the students would go in, I can do that today, I can do that on Wednesday, I could certainly do that on Saturday, and so they'll arrange their week to how to fit their academics in.
Therefore, an online student must be able to manage his or her time.
Correct.
They must be disciplined.
Correct.
And if someone thinks, oh, online learning does not require me to be that regimented and plan and strategize in that way, they would be wrong.
Correct. It's about planning and organizing and prioritizing. So when a student looks at their syllabus in an on-site class, they're going to say, oh, in week 5 of the quarter, I have a one-page paper due on whatever topic the professor says. Online, you have the same thing. You have the ability to see that you have a one-page paper due. Oh, it might need something you need assistance with. Guess what? You have tutoring, you have library support, you have academic support center assistance, and you have the ability, which is much, much more important than anything, to contact your professor. So the professor provides office hours, contact information via, it could be email, it could be same time or some other instant messaging type of tool. It could be through video, which is a secure Skype type of
but it is face-to-face
interaction where you can
video.
actually see your professor.
What I'm curious about is your personal experience is fascinating to me. You were pursuing your PhD.
Correct.
For 3.5 years.
Yes.
Okay. It's a challenging process. And we've talked about this before we got on the air. Took me close to 8 years on my end. Everyone has their own journey, right?
Yeah, correct.
Challenging, daunting, right? You're doing it online, right?
Correct.
Question about the degree of interaction that you were able to have and continue to be able to have with your dissertation advisor, the professor who is a key part of the dissertation process. How do you do that online?
That is done in multiple ways. I just happen to be really good with email, and so it was my mentor who was my advisor for my dissertation. Interaction, we spoke on the phone. He even offered to meet me because he had an office in Connecticut and an office in New Jersey, and he offered to meet me in New Jersey a couple times if I needed to.
But you needed to be proactive.
Correct. But you also need to set a schedule, and you need to set a time frame.
And plan again.
And plan ahead.
Finally, online at Berkeley is growing?
Very much so.
Describe it.
Right now, we have a little more than 1,000 students who take online courses through our online campus, but about 33% of our system students take online classes. So we continue to grow with favorability of online class learning within Berkeley, and we continue to grow our programs. We have new programs starting: graphic design, information technology management, marketing communication. Next year we'll be offering interior design classes online. We're very much looking forward to that as well. So we do have some exciting things coming up, that what's needed in the fields. And more important, we continue to have excellent faculty. My office works on training and development of online faculty. So we get some incredible content experts, and they are honed and trained to be able to facilitate the online classroom environment, to provide engaging, interactive experiences for the students by putting them in touch with other students, actively engaged with the content, seeing what's going on in the industry, and then that content expert is and has requirements for interaction and engagement throughout the week.
Carol Smith, this online distance learning world is expanding, creates tremendous opportunities, but students need to understand how to make it work, and you've done a great job helping explain that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Stay with us. We'll be right back right after this.
If you would like more information on this program, or if you'd like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Visit us online at caucusnj.org, or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD.
We're out here on location. Steve Adubato, not in the studio, but at the AT&T GNOC, the Global Network Operations Center. We're here with Steve Moser, who is in fact the Visitor Program Manager at GNOC. Good to see you. Steve, last time I was here without the cameras, you took me on a tour. You blew me away with this place. For those of our audience who do not know, and I'm assuming most don't, tell folks real quick, thumbnail description of the GNOC.
Well, the GNOC Global Network Operations Center monitors and manages the entire global network of AT&T. We look at the network very much like the way the air traffic controllers look at air traffic across the globe. We want to make sure that the traffic keeps flowing, that it's optimized. When there's a problem, when there's a traffic jam, we intervene to mitigate that so the customer never sees that something is going wrong.
Interesting. We've talked to some of your colleagues before and interspersing these interviews throughout our programming, but what's interesting to me is the visitors. Who are the visitors, these customers? What are they looking for, and how does the GNOC experience change their view of service?
Right. Well, most of the customers are the corporate heads of, information technology departments. So all the major companies, every company you can imagine around the world comes to us. And this is an opportunity for us to show them that, we have the ability to help them transform their business by using network technology. And we show them how, competent we are in managing our network. And we basically say to them, look, let us do the same for you.
I'm curious about this. This whole GNOC experience, being exposed to it, a lot of folks on the corporate side, organizations, when it comes to IT, are there some standard mistakes? Because once they are back out on their own, they have to manage a lot of their own operation. Are there certain mistakes, general mistakes, or certain advice that you want to give to folks?
Yeah, well, they try to do more than they probably should. There's a lot of things that we can do for them much more efficiently, and that's pretty much the sales pitch that is made when customers come here.
But it's interesting. Is it that there's an economic thing that they think they can do it on their own and they wind up spending more because there's certain mistakes that could have been avoided?
That is part of it. But I also find a lot of customers don't realize, how the network can transform their business. And so when they come here and see what we do, we just open their mind and, expand their imagination. And as a result, we get more deeply involved in the transformation of businesses.
Put the GNOC into perspective for us. The facility that we are in, in fact showing footage of, this is not how it started. Put it in perspective, because you've been with the organization for a few years, okay? You've seen the evolution. Describe how it got to be this.
Well, we've been in Bedminster since the mid-1970s. In the early days, the management of the network was much more reactive. In other words, the people that worked in the NOC at the time
the NOC stands for?
Global Network Operations Center. They ran after alarms. Something's broken, we run out, fix it, replace a circuit pack in some computer.
Reactive.
Reactive. And over time, as the network has become so vital to businesses, being quick on your feet is not enough. We had to take it a step further. And we had to start to, be more preventive, to get out in front of issues and deal with them before anybody was even aware that something was wrong. And so over the last 30 years or so, there has been this movement from reactive to being proactive, which is just a little better than reactive, and then to preemptive. In fact, the next step is to get adaptive. In other words, allow the network to begin to heal itself and make changes on its own so you don't rely on, hundreds of people to do the job.
Bring that, because it sounds terrific, but for a lot of folks, I imagine they're wondering, how does that work? Give us a concrete example of that. Give us a sense of what would it look like in a real-life situation to do what you just described.
Well, like I say, we want to try to predict. We want to try to get out in front of issues before customers.
How do you do that?
Well, the network, as it turns out, is very predictable. You and I, we're all creatures of habit. You take our behavior, you multiply it by the tens of millions of other people that use the network, and you get nice, smooth, predictive, bell-shaped curves that pretty much define the reality.
Do we see it on these charts?
Oh, yeah, I can show you multiple examples of the way things looked a week ago today compared to the way they look today. Usually matches, unless, of course, last week was a holiday or something. But generally, every Wednesday looks like every other Wednesday in AT&T. Now, all the network sub-functions are equally predictable. In other words, everything kind of works in unison. Now, if all of a sudden something starts to fail, well, we're going to start to see a deviation from that norm.
What does that mean when it happens?
Well, the deviation from the norm might mean that a piece of equipment is failing. So we can have an alert come on that tells us you got to replace that piece of equipment, because if you don't, in X number of minutes or hours, it's going to have an impact on the way the customer sees the network. So we build our network with lots of extra cushion and resiliency so that it can absorb some level of outage or failure before it translates into something customers see. And then if we can use these deviations from the predictability, we can get out in front of a lot of the things, deal with them, fix them. Customer never sees that something was wrong in the first.
So hold on, wait a minute. In a very practical sense, what you're saying, Steve, is before a customer potentially would even reach out and call and say, hey, there's a problem, there's a problem, you're working on the problem, they reach out and say there's a problem, you say?
That is the objective. In other words, we want to deal with it before you see it.
And the advantage of that is?
Well, there's very little downtime. Customers are very intolerant of downtime. They want the network to be perfect. That's a tough job. And we have found over the years that the goal is to use this predictable data that comes almost organically from the network and turn it into an early warning system. And that's the history of the Global Network Operations Center in Bedminster since the mid-1970s.
Again, you've seen this from a variety of perspectives, and you bring in a lot of visitors. And again, I was saying in the last interview with your colleague, Mike, that when you open up those windows and I looked out here, I was really kind of blown away. When you see I just didn't expect this. Is that part of the pitch, if you will, is to have people not expect what they're about to see and then blow them away and then get into the details and say, look, this is a special place.
Yeah, there is a little bit of showmanship here for sure. And you're trying to take something nebulous like a network and bring it to life. And the Global Network Operations Center helps us do that with customers. But beyond that, unveiling that you described, right. We get right into the real deal.
Beyond the bells and whistles, there's a lot of meat and potatoes.
There are. And we spend, 95% of our time dealing with the meat and potatoes and showing them exactly what we do here. We share with customers very freely some of the live information that's on these screens.
But some you can't.
Well, some we can't because it is customer specific. And, we're very, committed to privacy and so forth. But things generally about the network, this predictability, there's a number of different ways we can describe it and illustrate it to customers. And then they begin to see what we're talking about, But it's not just the big, bold changes. Like I can show you what it looked like in the aftermath of the earthquake we had here in Jersey 2 years ago. Very dramatic, big spike in calling, lots of text messages and so forth. But what we're really looking for are these subtle changes that happen over a period of time that give us this, this clue. Something's not right. And we better start doing X, Y, and Z to deal with it.
Before I let you go, one thing I sense by being around you just a little bit is you absolutely love your job.
I do, yeah. This is a great place. Well, I think we do something very significant here. Most people take the phone out of their pocket, they make a call, it's reliable most all of the time. I get a chance to show them how much intricacy there is behind it all. That it doesn't happen by chance or accident, that there's a lot of very dedicated people, a lot of very smart people, and a huge investment. AT&T invests an enormous amount in the infrastructure which benefits the country in a very significant way.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
If you would like more information on this program, or if you'd like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Visit us online at caucusnj.org, or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD.
Dr. Pamela Clarke is President and Chief Executive Officer at Newark Community Health Center. Good to see you.
Oh, thanks for having me, Steve.
Pamela, Dr. Clarke, you've been with us many times off air and on, talking about a range of public health issues. FQHC stands for?
Federally Qualified Health Centers.
And that's what one of your organization is.
Yes.
What is an FQHC and why is it so important, particularly now?
I'm glad you asked that question. Now, we're federally qualified health centers, which means that we provide primary care service to the community. Primary care service includes adult medicine, peds. We do see OB/GYN patients. We also have dental. And believe it or not, we have podiatry. We also have optometry. And we also serve the community and help with mental health cases.
We've talked off the air about urban health problems and challenges. One of the issues that comes up a lot is the challenges facing pregnant women in urban areas. Talk about those issues, talk about those women, and talk about why it is in fact more challenging in urban areas.
No, that's a very good point. No, we're in the urban areas and we find a lot of people don't know about taking care of their health, especially when they're pregnant. I'm going to give you a story. I walked into a store, a regular store on Main Street, and because every time I go into the store, I always tell people about the primary, the health center. And so one day I said to a person working there, a woman, she was pregnant, and I was talking to her and I asked her, who do you go to as your doctor? And she said she had none.
So I said, but how could you not have a doctor and you're pregnant? And she gave me a long story about how she couldn't find a doctor. She didn't know where to go. She just moved into Newark. And so she's just going to work every day and going home. I gave her my card, and I actually called the health center immediately so that she could get connected to an OB/GYN to take care of her health. She didn't know.
Dr. Clarke, why is it so difficult for so many people like the woman you just described to know where to go, to access decent quality health care? Why is it so hard for so many?
A lot of young women are concerned about their daily bread. They're concerned about finding a job. They're concerned about just finding a place to live. That is crucial. That is at the forefront of their mind, Steve. And so they never start thinking about their health. No, she got pregnant. I don't know she didn't talk to her mother or she didn't talk to her grandmother, because you know the family, there's a breakdown now and there's no communication at the different levels. So there's no support. And so here is a young woman trying to make it in life, just trying to get by each day, and is pregnant. No idea. No, as an FQHC in the urban community, we advertise, we have our brochures all over the place, but somehow she never saw it. And so that's the reason why, as a federally qualified health center, we have to do more in educating the community. We have to be out there, not just with flyers, but we have to let people see where we are and what we do. And so National Health Center Week is what you're going to talk about.
National Health Center Week.
Yes.
Which is?
It's a week where all the community health centers across the nation celebrate the fact that we provide primary care service to the underserved community
August
in urban
11th
areas.
to August 17th. Go ahead.
Yes, it is. So on National Health Center Week, at every site, we have 7 sites in Newark and the surrounding areas. We're going to have health fairs. We're going to have educational activities. We're going to open up the health center to the community. We're going to let everybody know to come and see us. No, here is how it works. We have to make it fun. We have to make it something that people will see it's important to them. Because if you don't make it fun, if you don't let them see that it's important, they won't come. So in National Health Center Week, we're going to have a fair where, in essence, we have balloons for the children. We're going to have bounce about outside, courtesy of some of the health insurance plans going to sponsor this program. We're also going to have the providers available. So when they walk in, we're going to have testing for glucose. We're going to have testing for if you have diabetes. We're going to have test your blood pressure. We're going to have the nutritionist there so you can ask them a question about your diet.
But you got to bring them in. That's the whole idea, is to make it fun and bring them in.
Yes. The whole idea is, say, for example, on Thursday, which is the 15th of August, we're going to have a big event at 101 Ludlow Street, which is right in the heart of Newark, and it's in the housing complex. And we're going to let everybody know, come over there. We're going to have music. We're going to have a lot of excitement outside so people will see that we're there. We're going to put flyers out, and of course, a show like today, when it's aired and people know we're having this, they will come.
But it's so interesting. You're right in the housing complex.
Yes, we are.
Because?
We are there because we have a mission. We have to be in underserved community providing care to the people. And so we made an agreement with the Housing Authority that we're going to be right in the heart of the housing complex, and our doors are going to be open.
Doctor, let me ask you, as we move closer to 2014, and some very significant changes in the healthcare landscape, the role of federally qualified healthcare centers will be what?
The role of a federally qualified health center is going to be even more important than what it was before. Why? Because you're going to find that people do not have access to health care. And even if they did, they don't know where to go. And that is our job. We've been doing it for many years. We are right in the heart of the community, and our job is to let the community know that we have providers, we have doctors of all shapes and sizes, all types, people who speak different languages, so that you can come in and connect with a provider. Very, very important.
You serve 19,000 patients a year?
No, here is the kicker. We actually served 19,000 was in the past. This year, we're going to have 32,000 patients by year end, and we're going to have 10,000 visits per month. Now, when you talk about what are the changes, yes, when we talk about the changes, how do we service so many people? We have gotten grants from the federal government. We have gotten help from the state and also at the local level so that we can renovate our sites. So right now we're renovating 741 Broadway right in the heart of Newark, yes, so that we can provide more service. We're going to go from 8 exam rooms to 24 with 6 dental operatories. There you go.
Dr. Pamela Clarke, President and Chief Executive Officer of the Newark Community Health Center, a federally qualified health center serving 32,000 patients a year, going to play an even more important role as we approach the new year. Thank you very much, Dr. Clarke.
Thank you, Steve.
Keep it up.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
We will.
The preceding program has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence, N13 for WNET, NJTV, and WHYY. Funding for this edition of Caucus, New Jersey has been provided by Wells Fargo, the law firm of Gibbons PC, Johnson & Johnson, Fedway Associates, Inc., and by New Jersey Natural Gas. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. Caucus, New Jersey has been produced in partnership with TriStar Studios.
I started feeling this pressure in my chest.
The doctors and the nurses that were attending to me, that they were of such excellence.
They were wonderful. You know, they put my mind at ease.
I owe my life to them. I don't think I really would be here if it wasn't for them.
Because of the way they handled everything, I think that's really why I'm here.
I felt that I was in good hands.